Mr. Vice President, are you aware that you're misquoting Donald Trump in Charlottesville? He never called neo-Nazis very fine people.
No, he called all those folks that walked out of that, they were neo-Nazis, shouting hate, their veins bulging.
But he said specifically that he was condemning them.
He did not. He said he walked out and he said, let's get this straight. He said there were very fine people in both groups. They're chanting anti-Semitic slogans, carrying flags.
But you're aware that he...
Mr. Vice President, her question's easy.
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
America is a long way from real facts. Everything that's going on right now, politically, culturally, everything about America is based on not facts, but lies. And primarily lies about two men, two historical figures, George Floyd and Donald Trump. George Floyd deified, glorified. Donald Trump demonized, marginalized, canceled. They must stop him, criminalized. But lies about these two gentlemen have brought us to where we are. And the grand architect of all of this is someone we know, Joe Biden. Grand architect sounds too fancy. Let's call him a sloppy handyman. But the lies that he told and is telling right now has brought this country to the brink. His entire presidency, don't forget this, is based on a lie. This is really the very first time he talked to us as a presidential candidate. This is when he launched his campaign, and it starts with a lie.
He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it.
Charlottesville, you remember. I'll get to what President Trump really said, but this is it. This is the key to his presidency, Charlottesville and the Charlottesville lie. Next.
That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
All right. All based on this. And what can't we forget?
We can't forget what happened in Charlottesville. Even more important, we have to remember who we are. This is America.
All right, this is America. Charlottesville, what did happen in Charlottesville? There was that awful, a guy took his car and went into those protesters, and yes, a young woman was killed, and that was awful. But as to what President Trump said about that day, he did not say what they say he said, and what so many people still believe that he said. Listen, please.
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
So the guy in the car who ran over that woman, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, whatever you want to call him, should be condemned totally. Crystal clear. He said it out loud. But folks, as far as protesting the monument of Robert E. Lee, you know, there are two sides to that position. And you can be a very good person and believe that Robert E. Lee represents everything that's wrong with America and slavery, and that statue should go, and we can have that discussion. I might even be sympathetic. I would listen, right? I don't agree, but I would listen. Lots of people, good people, feel that way. And lots of good people feel that these monuments must be maintained. Part of our heritage. Our heritage isn't perfect, but it's part of our story. You cannot omit it. Otherwise, it increases the likelihood or the danger of doing it again. So, an all-out lie, and everything about President Trump since, from the mainstream, from Joe Biden, has been a lie. Also regarding George Floyd.